All right, look at these. In this hand, I have winning the AI race, America's AI action plan. It says the quiet part out loud: dominance, leadership, supremacy, winning, loud, proud, unapologetically American. In this hand, I have China's global AI governance action plan. Cooperation, shared benefits, inclusivity, helping the global south. It reads like a UN brochure, United Nations brochure, dipped in honey. If you stopped at the headlines, you would think one side wants a fist fight and the other side wants to hold hands and sing kumbaya. And that may not be the case. And this is not a Cold War. Cold Wars have red lines and back channels and a mutual understanding that annihilation is bad for business. This is something else. This is a battle for the source code of reality, not who builds the best AI, but which civilization gets to encode its values, its definition of truth, of acceptable speech, of power into the most leveraged tool on earth. Our side is just more honest about it. Let's start with the American playbook because it is brutally straightforward. The title's the thesis: winning the race, no pretense about coexistence. The goal is unquestioned technological dominance with three pillars. The first pillar is accelerate innovation, which means chainsaw the red tape. Federal agencies are instructed to slash rules that unnecessarily hinder AI development, and procurement gets weaponized. If your model reeks of ideology, the government will not buy it. The plan even floats conditioning federal money on states keeping their AI rules light. That is not a nudge, that is a lever. You want federal funds, do not choke the sprint. The second, build American AI structure. This is the concrete and copper part of the war. The CHIPS Act was $52.7 billion of seed fertilizer. The private sector response is a $500 billion tsunami across dozens of states. Now, grease the permits, fabs, hyperscale data centers, high voltage lines, cooling substations on fast track. New exemptions, even in energy doctrine. If AI is the new industry, the grid is the new interstate highway, and every governor becomes an AI logistics manager. Nuclear goes from taboo to tool. Fusion shifts from sci-fi to line item. It is not just more compute, it is a national industrial mobilization to keep the lights on for machines that think. The third pillar, lead in international diplomacy and security. Compute diplomacy. Export the full stack. Hardware, models, software, standards to trusted allies, and lock in with support contracts, updates, and training. Simultaneously, throttle adversaries with export controls so tight that even the rumor of a broader ban can freeze a competitor's roadmap. The world gets sorted into tiers. Top tier allies get the premium stack and service level guarantees. Second tier friends wait on back order and paperwork. Like everyone else, learns the price of saying no. The tell is in the footnotes. Federal procurement guidelines are being rewritten about around unbiased AI principles, which in practice means the government pays for systems that answer directly, do not moralize, and don't refuse prompts for ideological reasons, down to weird hypotheticals about misgendering during nuclear standoffs. Whether you're cheer or groan, clock what it is an ideological spec for the cognition that will run public servers. You are not just buying models anymore. You're buying a worldview with a warranty. So unleash corporations, fortress the supply chain, weaponize procurement, federal allies under American AI stack, and ensure that outputs reflect American priors. That is a strategy of dominance with a smiling customer team. Now flip the card. To read China's plan, you do not start in the 2025 with the global AI governance action plan. You roll back to 2017, new generation AI development plan. That's the spine. Become the primary AI innovation center by 2030. How? Not by copying Silicon Valley's move fast and break things, by giving full play to the advantages of the socialist system to concentrate forces to do major undertakings. Translation: line up the ministries, the SOEs, the universities, the startups, and point them in one direction. The phrase that matters: military civil fusion. Blur the wall between civilian tech and the PLA. Every lab, every startup, every campus is dual use by default. The objective is not a better model, it is intelligentized warfare. Logistics that anticipate, targeting that reasons, electronic warfare that adapt in real time. Seen through that lens, the Global AI Governance Action Plan makes perfect sense. It is a soft power offensive with a smile. especially aimed at the global south that is being priced out of the American stack. And this is the pitch from China. We will help you build digital infrastructure, clean power networks, intelligent computing power data center. We will help standardize a unified computing power standard system. We will back you at the United Nations, the ITU, the ISO, the IEC, three-letter agency. We will champion open source ecosystems and lower barriers. We will collaborate on AI Plus for agriculture, health, education, logistics. And the subtext, you do not just buy chips. You buy a framework, training, standards, open source platforms, data sharing mechanisms, capacity building, scholarships, joint labs, wrapped in language about fairness, inclusion, sovereignty. The bill is due in alignment, not to abstract human values, but to core socialist values: prosperity, harmony, patriotism, diligence, as defined by the party. The regs literally say AI content must reflect them. Yeah. Listen to Chinese strategists on Baidu or in policy circles. The phrases are discourse power and change lanes and overtake. This is not about catching up to Intel's 1998. It is about taking the steering wheel and standards bodies, data rules, and safety taxonomies so that even when you are not selling the chip, you are writing the test it must pass. 2 operating systems for civilization is basically what I'm outlining right now. And the 2 operating systems are obviously the US model and the Chinese model. The US model is more of a decentralized on paper, corporate led in practice. It's where you're going to export a full stack and create dependency with updates, security patches, cloud credits, and quote unquote trusted supply chain certification. And the Chinese model, in contrast, is a centralized, state directed, standards first. They are building for the global south, attach favorable financing, train cadres, create regional hubs, and write the manuals and committees that last longer than administrations. So this is not a Cold War. It's more of a systems war. And the question is not just who wins, it is what wins. And if we go to the ground level, where does it hurt? Silicon. The US strategy is a precision choke. Like export controls sand the gears of Chinese frontier training. It worked initially. It raised the cost curves, forced redesigns, and made compute budgeting a national pastime. Chinese labs heads said the quiet part: money is not the constraint, cutting us off from advanced chips is. In response, Beijing leans into self-sufficiency, made in China 2025, national champions, state funds, supply chain rewiring, 7 nanometer workarounds, chiplets, domestic tool chains, vertical integration where possible, gray markets where necessary. Meanwhile, they fire a warning shot with export controls on gallium and germanium, small in dollar terms, massive in signal value. Message received: we have levers too. And then there's talent. America's frontier labs are powered by global brains. The immigration pipeline remains a strategic advantage and a political vulnerability. China churns STEM graduates at an industrial scale, runs global recruitment drives, and offers elite packages to lure back sea turtles. Behind the press releases is a simple loop. Compute attracts talent, talent extracts value from compute. Value justifies more compute. Whoever stabilizes that loop at scale in dollars or in political will writes the next decade. And then there is standards. America wants to wrap NIST-style risk frameworks and truth-seeking, quote-unquote truth-seeking, procurement language around frontier models. China wants the ITU ISO tables to reflect its taxonomy, which is a tiered risk traceability systems, controllability, and lawful and orderly data flows. The winner is not just whose logo sits on the chip, it's whose paperwork your regulator copies. With data, the American plan elevates high quality data to national strategic asset breakdown federal silos. They also set quality standards and align open weight models with American values. China's plan pushes lawful, orderly, and free flow of data with sovereignty clauses and the promise of shared corpora for countries that play ball. One model aims to centralize public data for commercial leverage under domestic law. The other aims to socialize data frameworks transnationally under a sovereignty first umbrella. Either way, the era of just scrape the internet is closing. The new game is curated, licensed, and geopolitically stamped, which means no grid, no models. We got to go into energy now. The United States slams the accelerator on permitting data centers, transmission, generation, then has to reconcile climate targets with a compute advantage. China wields AI plans to power build-outs explicitly. Clean generation, interprovincial transmission, and standardized computing power networks. The green language matters, but the physics matter more. Each side is racing to wire intelligence into the wall at a national scale. Watch the word games. Both sides promise safe AI. In Washington, safe is increasingly non-ideological, truthful, reliable. Enforced through procurement and liability. In Beijing, safe is controllable, order preserving, stability protecting. Enforced through licensing and platform responsibility. Both are coherent inside their systems. They are not intolerable. So imagine you're a finance minister in an African nation with unstable power and a young population online. America arrives with a premium stack and conditions. Join the alliance, adapt our export controls, align your privacy law, and we will fund training, cloud credits, and a secure data lake. China arrives with turnkey compute parks, concessional loans, engineers on the ground, open source platforms, and votes at the ITU. One promises trusted supply chain, the other promises no political lectures. You do not pick a chip. You pick your next 20 years of administrative law. Okay, yeah. I would pick China with all those like benefits, to be honest. But I would also pick America. I would pick both. Like if I could have it my way, I'll pick both sides of this because it's a much more better complement than it is an adversary. But at the same time, competition does spark innovation and creativity. So competition is good. It makes everybody reasonable because we should at least be matching what China's offering. We should match what China's offering and offer something unique on top of that. Because what we're offering is not as unique as what China's offering. Because I mean, I can definitely go through it again, but basically America is giving like premium stack. Like if Africa, for example, joins their alliance and aligns with the privacy laws and the export controls, then America will give training. They'll fund the training. They will give cloud credits and then a secure data lake. But then China comes with a turnkey compute park. So you have the compute, like you have everything you need for massive compute in the beginning. And then there are loans, concessional loans, and then you get engineers on the ground to actually help you do this. And then and then China is giving open source platforms and votes at the ITU. Is the value is just so much more overwhelming, and and so that's why I would choose China's side. Basically, I mean, there's just more value, like for in terms of AI, like the AI race right now with what's going on because the United States. I mean, I I love the United States, and we're just at the United States to be more competitive. So okay, and then so you could be the finance minister in Africa, or imagine this: you can run a mid-sized European state in the second tier of the United States Trust. Your company needs frontier inference now, but the premium stack is rationed. China's digital Silk Road knocks on the door with compute, standards participation, and a seat at regional test beds. Your voters want jobs, your utilities want subsidies, your intelligence service wants visibility. There is not a right answer, there's a gravity well. So now let's talk about the consequences inside the US. If the US deregulates too hard, if the United States deregulates too hard and you invite chaos, scams, and a backlash that hands the pen back to your enemies. They regulate too little and you push frontier work offshore or underground, weaponize procurement to purge ideology, and you will get sharper answers in a predictable court fight about what neutral means when politics is downstream of ontology. Fast track data centers and you will hit the physical limit. Land use, water tables, transformer backlogs, copper, local NIMBYs, and all electrical workforce that doesn't scale with press releases, promise fusion, but your models need electrons now. Build everything top down, and you risk zombie projects, misallocated capital, and cadres gaming metrics. Double down on controllability, and you throttle the very bottom up weirdness that makes great models surprising. Promise the global South a fair deal, and you inherit their outages, their debts, their politics. Push unified computing standards and discover that standards bodies can move like glaciers when the other superpower is not vetoing so much as slow rolling. So, is there room for cooperation? You will see the choreography, right? Joint communiques, Bletchley style declarations, United Nations paragraphs about shared risk, useful for hotlines, evals, and deconfliction around nuclear command and control. Necessary even, but deep cooperation collapses the minute safety touches speech, protest, religion, minority rights, or the historical record. Because at that point, you're not arguing about model cards, you're arguing about who gets to define reality inside your borders. Where does that leave the rest of us, though? Understand what you're being sold first. These are not just chips and models, they are governance bundles. They come with updates, standards, training, auditing regimes, and an answer key for what counts as true enough. It's not only a race for GDP points as well, it's a contest to encode defaults into cognitive infrastructure of the planet. How the doctor's assistant triages you, how your bank weighs your risk, how your city allocates patrols, how courts summarize evidence, how kids learn history, how elections are moderated, how borders are policed, and understand the timeline. Fabs take years. Standards take decades. Models update overnight. The only way to play all three clocks is to decide now what you refuse to outsource for the next generation. Your grid, your data governance, your public sector AI, your public sector artificial intelligence, your school curricular, your security stack. So, one civilization, right, speaks in the register of markets and liberty while enforcing dominance through stacks, subsidies, and standards written at home. The other speaks in the register of the second civilization. Civilization speaks in the register of inclusion and sovereignty while enforcing control through licensing, content doctrine, and standards written in committee. If you pick wrong, and you will not notice tomorrow. You will notice when your courts cite an eval rubric as precedent, when your hospitals require a foreign safety passport to deploy a diagnostic, when your kids cannot use a model unless it answers sensitive questions with the approved tone. This is not doom, it is clarity. You do not have to choose a castle to keep agency, but you do have to build. Power permitting public sector AI, artificial intelligence, you can audit and fire. Data trust that pay citizens and small firms, local compute where it matters, and open tooling where you can. Hard private standards where you must, and diplomats who understand that APIs are now treaties. Because the AI race is not only about who crosses a line, it is about who draws a track, who owns the stadium lights, and who writes the rulebook for what counts as win. The code that runs the world is being written. Policy code, standards code, model code. Read it, fork it, push your own commits, or get compiled by someone else. Yep. So yeah, that's so basically comment. I will literally trade a like and subscribe for a comment. I just comment and let me know what your thoughts are because I think saying like, subscribe, and comment is like too much. So can you just comment and let me know what you think? So comment. Yeah, can you do that for me? Just comment.